Hello, my lovely. Let's talk about self-care. How you look after yourself. First, I want to tell you a story about a Western seeker of the truth who spent a lot of money and a lot of time travelling to the east to meet a guru on the top of a mountain. They travelled for many days and it was very hot and sweaty and grueling and dusty and dirty to climb up the mountain, and eventually they sat at the feet of the guru and asked that question: what is the secret of life? The guru smiled wisely, as gurus do, and took a little while to reply, and eventually said, eat when you are hungry, drink when you are thirsty, sleep when you are tired. And with a smile, the guru closed her eyes and sat in silence. Well, the seeker was well fed up. All that money, time, effort, filth, to get to the top of a dirty mountain, to learn something we all know? How ridiculous. It's so simple. It can't possibly be the secret of life. It's just too easy. But is it? Is it really easy? Do we always eat when we're hungry, or do we skip lunch because we're busy? Or do we stuff ourselves with something that's not very nutritious just because it's quick and easy? Do we get so hungry that we cram down the first thing we come across because we've just got too hungry? And do we always drink when we're thirsty? Or do you get dehydrated? And do we always drink something which is nutritious and going to rehydrate the body? Or do you go for something sugary and sweet and fizzy because you've just got overly thirsty? And do we always sleep when we're tired? Or do we lie awake worrying about things? And do we sometimes oversleep when we're avoiding something? We don't always do those very simple things. And a lot of the time when I talk to people about this, when I'm doing keynote speeches and workshops, they'll also talk about not even going to the loo when they want to go to the loo. So you just think, oh, I'm hold it for now and I'll go in a bit and I'll go in a bit. And by the time you need to go, you barely have time to lock the door before you sit down on the loo because you're so desperate to go. Sound familiar? Do you always look after yourself the way that you look after other people? I know I need a reminder, and I teach this stuff all of the time. I need to remind myself to do what's the right thing in the moment, rather than getting drawn into all the busyness and all the things that we need to do that day. So have a think in this module about your drivers. What drives you on? So why is it that you push yourself hard? Are you afraid of letting people down? Because actually they'd probably rather you cancel something or be late or not have finished something than know that it's making you poorly or tired or upset or overwhelmed. What is it that drives you to ignore your own needs? Is it that you feel like you don't really matter and everybody else is more important? What is it that's driving you to wear yourself out or not meet your own needs? Have a think about that as you go through this. And this thinking about looking after yourself starts with noticing what you need in the moment, rather than what you plan to do and ignoring actually what you need to do. So I'd like to introduce you to a really simple technique that I use myself all of the time. You can just think about it in your head, but if you really want to pump it up and register with yourself that you are definitely doing the technique and tuning into it, then you put one hand on your heart space and one hand on your belly. Did you know you have brain cells in your heart and in your digestive system? In fact, the stomach, many years ago, used to be called the second brain. So you know that you feel in your tummy, and the whole thing about gut instinct, well, that's in your gut. You get a feeling for things. So when we tap into both our heart space and our tummy, we can tune into what's the right thing. So you put one hand on your heart, one on your belly, and you take a nice long deep breath through the nose, and either out through the nose, or if you want to, you can breathe out through the mouth as a kind of sigh, letting stuff go. And just tune in to what answers come. I even do this sometimes if I can't decide what to eat. So standing in the kitchen thinking, what's the right thing right now? And usually it helps me think about a good choice, a nutritious choice of what to eat. Breathing in, breathing out, asking yourself the question, what's the right thing right now? Now, I've been teaching this for years, and it was only a few weeks ago that I realised that if you write down right thing right now, the letters almost make the word return. And what are we doing here? Well, we're returning to ourselves, returning to the inside, returning to your own intuitive knowledge about what's the right thing. I just think that's really fab and magical. So rather than being drawn into what everybody else is doing or expecting, or all the busyness and nonsense that's going on, and things that are happening in the world, and other people's opinions, or OPN, other people's nonsense, you can just return to yourself, return to your own intuition and think, what's the right thing right now? So that's what I'd like you to do during this module, that you're spending some time thinking what's the right thing right now and answering the question. Once you've answered the question, actually doing that thing, taking a drink of water, getting something to eat, having a rest, phoning somebody who's going to make you feel a bit brighter, or making a change with something, or cracking on with a job that's really, when we put stuff off because it feels like a really big thing to do, and just cracking on with it can make you feel better. When you feel overwhelmed, then getting on and doing those things. So what's the right thing right now is going to be your habit for this module. So you keep tuning in and asking that question, and particularly when you can't think straight and you're not sure what to do, then tap in. Sometimes for me it's that I need to go for a wee because I can't think about what I need to do when I need a wee. And then I go for a wee and I think, oh yeah, it's quite clear what I need to do next. So it can be the simplest things, but it's the simple things we ignore because we think that feeling better and doing things differently has to be a massive change and a really big difference. Actually, it can be really simple. So when you tap into yourself, tune in, you'll be able to know what those things are. Now, the other thing that I'd like you to notice, and if you want to remember all of these, it's all on the PDF, is to notice the little red flags that mean that you need to tune in and figure out what to do differently. The little red flags are the things like becoming clumsy, skipping lunch, getting irritable, forgetting things, going the wrong way when you're trying to get to a place, you go on autopilot and end up where you usually go rather than when you need to go. Those things are little red flags. Also, maybe not sleeping very well, or craving foods that are not very good for you, or forgetting to eat entirely. All of these, what are your little red flags? What are the things you start to notice? Now, for me, that used to be tonsillitis. I had to get really poorly before I noticed I was a bit burnt out and a bit overwhelmed and doing too much, cramming things in. Now I spot smaller little red flags, like I'm gripping the steering wheel really tightly because I'm thinking hard about what I need to do next, and I realise I'm doing it, and I take a breath, I let go of the tension, and I think, okay, what's the right thing right now? And usually it's concentrate on the road, Pam, and something basic like that. But start to notice those little red flags that are yours. What are those things? And can you start to notice them before they become big flags, like a stinking cold or a racking cough or having blown up at somebody that you really shouldn't have shouted at? What are those things for you? Spotting those little red flags, and of course doing something about them. So if you notice that you're tense, let the tension go. If you notice you're getting irritable, take a breath and use the audios that are with this module, which will help you to do just that, to let go of the tension, to focus on your own well-being. And then of course you can help everybody else, but you've got to put your own oxygen mask on first. So that's it for this video. Use the PDF so that you can remember all the things that I'm suggesting you do for this module. Please use the audios because they're going to help you a lot to get yourself into a better state of mind. And I'm going now because what's the right thing right now? I need something to eat. So I'll go do that. while you crack on with what you're going to do next. Bye for now. Have fun.